Thoughtseize.
That is kind of interesting. I guess that sort of is taking up the slot that previously people filled with stuff like Overmaster or additional permission.
Yeah, it has doesn't have too much in the way of like hard tutors. It has 4 Brainstorm, 4 Ponder, 4 Preordain to help pull the deck together. Also, the real tutor is Burning Wish. It can get a copy of Show and Tell.
Yeah, that's a pretty big deal. Justin Adams, his Miracles list, pretty standard run-of-the-mill stuff. He has added a Detention Sphere and a Supreme Verdict to the deck, diversifying his removal a little, but those aren't especially different from the options he already had. Supreme Verdict is a nice one, but I'm not sure it's an upgrade on Terminus when you're actually like so heavily oriented on top anyway. But having access to one is probably nice. Amusingly, Justin did register his Jace the Mind Sculptor as Jace the, which is pretty much as short as you can go and still be still be definitely like that's Jace the Mind Sculptor. You registered the correct Jace. Jace comma?
Yeah, Justin Adams very relieved that there is not Jace the Memory Adept.
Yeah, that would have been bad news for Sam
Architect, I thought.
in this tournament. Justin's sideboard is a ton of singletons, which go with his. He's got an Enlightened Tutor in the sideboard, but yeah,
13 singletons.
He's got a lot of them. They're mostly targets for Enlightened Tutor. He's got a variety of artifacts that do a lot of similar stuff, like Crypt and Grafdigger's Cage.
And Mountain.
Yeah, Moat, Humility, Porphyry Nodes. Rest in Peace is a nice card.
Yeah.
He does have a Mountain to go with his 2 Power Blast and a Red Elemental Blast. I assume those are mostly for mirrors.
Yeah. Doesn't really count as a one-off.
Yeah, that's fair. We'll have to take that one away from them. And Mountain, that's barely even a card. It casts almost exclusively red spells.
Yeah, sometimes you can tap it for a colorless.
If you're lucky, yeah.
only if you're lucky.
Maybe to cast a Snapcaster Mage. Dreams. Well, I imagine we'll be seeing the Pyroblast and Red Elemental Blast come in this matchup. I don't know that we'll be seeing the Mountain. Without any real reason to need another red source, it's not like his Volcanic's going to get wastelanded.
Yeah,
he's probably fine.
For something like Rug Delver or Merfolk, when you want the Red Blast in, you want to get a basic.
Yep.
You don't want to get wastelanded completely out of your splash cards.
Yep.
Alright, so the best card in the Miracles deck on turn 1 for Justin Adams, Sensei's Divining Top.
Sam declines to force.
Yep. Basically what Sensei's Top lets you do is your Miracles and Legacy are not that miraculous. you kind of know when they're coming.
Yeah, that's very accurate. I think Sensei's Divining Top is actually one of the cards that I'm surprised Sam didn't consider forcing it in that position.
Yeah.
It really is the card that pulls everything together. If you don't have an active top out, your deck is way less impressive.
Yes. And that was even true before Miracles.
Yep.
I played quite a bit of counterbalance decks.
I recall.
And basically, part of my love of Trinket Mage is because you get to play more tops than you're allowed to. It's very important to have a top to play. I'm willing to pay 4 mana for one.
And this top has found lands and swords, which are, okay.
The lands much better than the swords.
Yes.
Swords of Plowshare is not a good way to fight a Gristlebrand.
Justin is, it looks like on no permission in his hand, or maybe one?
No, I saw a counter spell.
Okay, he has one of the Jace for Chandra counters. I know he has Click and Jace, which are, Click is an excellent card against
Vanilla Click is probably the best card. It's close. It's very good.
Yeah.
Against Omnitel, like you can cast a Show and Tell. You can allow your opponent to cast a Show and Tell and try and get one of the Show and Tellable cards into play. Here comes Thoughtseize from Sam. So that's his major change. I like that.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be pretty good here.
Card I don't like too much in these decks is Daze. I think Daze is very, very poor in these types of decks because you want to be able to go off at your leisure and not just when your opponent is tapped out.
I find it interesting that Justin went for Thoughtseize here. I kind of would want to hold the Thoughtseize for next turn so I could go end of turn Intuition, untap Thoughtseize, Show and Tell, right? Like he only has Omniscience, but against this matchup, like his opponent's not going to get any value off the show and tell either. So just getting an Omniscience into play is pretty good.
The one card that is actually becoming more popular in Miracles is Oblivion Ring / Detention Sphere.
Okay,
so
that's reasonable to fear.
Yeah, that's a reasonable fear. You probably want to. If I'm Sam, I kind of want my Thoughtseize to resolve, even if it's just so I know what's coming up.
Sure. The issue I see there is with top on the field, it's really hard for you to
actually
get an
know
effective
what's going
Thoughtseize unless it's the turn you're going for it.
Yeah.
And even then.
Yeah, even then, like, Justin could literally float Detention Sphere on the top of his deck, and Sam would always get his Omniscience Oblivion Ring.
Preordain resolves.
So,
looks like
a magic card and an Ancient Tomb.
Yeah, it was something shiny.
Right.
It was the bottom.
People in their foil cards.
Another Force of Will.
So Sam is definitely got Justin covered on permission.
Yeah, if he draws something to actually threaten his opponent, he might be able to turn those.
And he has
Force
those
of Wills
the perfect Force of Will pitch days.
Yeah. That is one of the things Days has going for it.
Yeah.
Being blue.
Right. That's my high praise when you're primarily on Force of Will pitch duty.
I'm sure that's your favorite role for Days to fill.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of Days and Legacy. Try not to play it. Only in decks that absolutely need it. So it's actually interesting that based on Sam's mana base, Justin could reasonably still conceive that, and actually very likely that Sam is still playing a Storm deck of some sort.
That's what I would be assuming if I were Justin.
Yeah.
You see Preordain, you see Thoughtseize.
The cat's not out of the bag yet.
Yeah.
It might come out of the bag with Vendilion Click. I believe Vendilion Click is the type of card that should be Force of Will.
Yeah, I think the biggest issue here with the Click is actually not the disruptive threat element, but just the threat element. Like having a 3/1 on the board
3/1.
when you're not doing anything is real bad for you.
Nope, so
everybody tries to get a peek, nobody gets one.
yeah. So that was an end step Vendilion Click.
Yep, trying to clear the way for Jace the Mind Sculptor.
It's a miracle.
It is quite a miracle. It looks like Justin allowed himself to draw his swords. I think I saw it in his hand.
Okay. So, what's going on here? Here comes Jace the Mind Sculptor.
Sculpting Minds here, boss. That's probably not going to resolve. Sam has to fight it, right? Like, I just don't think you can let a Jason play on this position.
Yeah, the problem with that is, which do you pitch? Do you pitch your Omniscience or your Intuition?
I feel like if our plan was Intuition, we would just be doing that this turn. So I've probably pitched the Omniscience.
Alright. He hasn't decided which one he wants to. He's going to pitch the Omniscience.
Right now, we need to draw a pretty specific card in order to do much of anything, and that's assuming our opponent has actual air, which Justin has. Not great, but not actual airball. So
I actually would have let the Jason play.
You think? Well, what's your line then?
Put the Omniscience in play.
Just Intuition for show and tell and get it down.
It gives you 2 Emrakul, 2 Gristlebrand, and 4 Burning Wish as draws to immediately kill your opponent, and then 12 cantrips to find said cards.
Sure.
Okay. Also, the Fate Seal on Jace, not that impressive.
Not when you have a bunch of fetches,
Yeah. So it's basically on Brainstorm, and I think that unless you brick for a couple turns, the you can outpace the base. Basically, your 1 Force of Will is going to be enough to beat a Brainstorm, whatever Brainstorm might give Justin. But that being said, Sam's going to Intuition for half of the combo and hope to draw the other half.
Maybe he'll get a bunch of dazes.
He could.
Probably not.
Unlikely.
Do you think there's any merit to going just for like something like a cantrip here even to just try and set up, or do you just always get like show and tell, show and tell, show and tell?
In that case, I would just not have cast the intuition.
Yeah.
If you're just gonna get a brainstorm or a ponder.
If he had 3 Jaces in his deck, do you think going for
Yes.
3 Jaces would have been a good line here? That was what I was thinking. He only has 2, which means he can never do that, which is a tricky thing in an intuition deck. I'm real reluctant to only play 2 of like anything,
especially of a unique card. Yeah, it's actually very unfortunate that Sam is only playing 2 Jaces. Jace would be fantastic here.
He also only has 2 Emrakul and 2 Gristlebrand, so he can
well,
never...
you can generally interchange them.
Yeah, you can in a lot of ways, but like there are definitely situations where you'd rather have one
or the other. Yeah.
The structure of the deck means you just never get that choice. More specifically, your opponent always gets that choice if you're intuitioning.
Yeah, I mean, there's only one intuition,
sure,
so it's not a huge thing.
It's just a noteworthy point. Yeah. Ooh, Brainstorm's a real live one here.
Yeah.
That was among our better draws. Well, we found a fetch land and a card we don't want and another Brainstorm. So, as Brainstorms go, a success.
Yeah. Get to run it again.
Not a home run, but could be worse.
We're not drawing dead for 2 turns.
Yeah. That would definitely be significantly worse.
Basically, he should be drawing one of these cards. Well, he's gonna draw 2 of them.
He's what? He's immediately lighting that Brainstorm on fire.
Yeah.
Which seems really grim. Well, now we're...
So, reach through mist from Sam.
Yeah,
I saw the relatively poor cycle of Brainstorm.
Yeah, I think patience would have been a real virtue for us there.
Right. A much stronger line of play would be for Sam to pass the turn, draw his fetch land, crack his fetch land, then Brainstorm again.
I agree.
Now Sam's in just a precarious thing. He's really only drawing. He's got 1 card a turn, and his opponent has access to a Sensei's Divining Top. Well, and they both have the same amount of action right now.
That's like 3 cards a turn almost.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah, this position definitely favors Justin. Sam has more wins in the deck, but Justin has so much more selection.
Well, let's talk about wins.
Force Swords. That's pretty strong. Yeah, we're just going to sit, make our opponent do something. We'll grind value with top if he doesn't. And if he does, we'll counter it.
Yeah, it looks like a ponder. So...
City, force, something else? Something not good, we're showing.
Apparently. Probably wasn't a Gristlebrand.
Probably not. I might have gone for that. Nah, true gambler. Just take the card off the top and then cast your show and tell. That's gamble.
So if Sam actually did that, would Justin counter it?
I mean, I'd have to go out and give him a hug.
Yeah, right?
I wouldn't know what would happen. Yeah.
Give him a high five.
I am a fan of using show and tell as counter bait on occasion with this archetype. Like sometimes it's just a pretty reasonable line to take. But
right, that's a Burning Wish.
Yeah.
Really making so that could get a Living Wish, but a Time of Need for Sam, but we don't have a green mana, so can't actually do that. It's Justin drawing his
second forcible. Oh, look at that.
Hey, look what we found. Given that...
You've got mail.
Yeah. Given that Sam does not have a second blue card for his Forcible, and that's all he really needs to... Yeah, he's passing.
Yeah. It would be pretty bold here to try. Looks like Justin also lacks a... Oh, no, he's got Spell Pierce.
Spell Pierce.
So, Justin can double force. Which definitely gives him the leg up. What did we just draw here? A Ponder? Or
That's a blue card.
Yeah.
That's all you want.
I think we might have wanted to hold the Ponder. Even if we do cast it, I don't think we need to cast it now necessarily. Omniscience is also a blue card. Burning Wish can be a blue card.
It could be. Oh, that's actually a pretty good. That's actually an insane.
It's a good one, right?
Yeah. There's no way you can shuffle this and not. So Sam's line's got to be show and tell. Pitch the force if need be.
Do you think you show and tell this turn when you have the Burning Wish? I would think I would just Burning Wish for Thoughtseize probably.
Okay.
And then try and go next turn. Yeah.
Seems like Sam's line. Hardcast Force of Will.
Yep. Sam, you're not going to force. I hate to break it.
Yeah.
Possibly feigning not having a fatty. His opponent knows that he has a show and tell in his hand, so if he feigns Force of Will here, then that would make his opponent think, well, his hand has to be show and tell, Force of Will, and blue card. What's the blue card?
So just not finding a way to reset the top of his deck. So he's actually paying a mana to draw a card, almost.
Oh, fortunately he has 6.
Yeah.
Looks like he's got Terminus, Swords, Force of Will, Spell Pierce, I believe we know Justin's hand.
Yeah, that's going to be very unfortunate for Sam if he actually goes for it and pitches his, he's going to cast show and tell.
Yep. I like that.
So it's going to be Force of Will.
It's going to be cast because he keeps the Spell Pierce up that way, and Sam's just going to force it right back.
Mm-hmm.
Do it.
And so Sam's going to get to put his Emrakul into play.
And there's a Burning Wish on top of his deck.
Yeah. Unfortunately for Sam, Justin has 6 mana and a Terminus. So he can run it standard style. We actually cast that Terminus.
He lets it resolve.
Alright, so his plan is going to be get another Burning Wish, or get another show and tell with his Burning Wish on top of his deck.
Yeah.
So he really wants to...
The issue here is that will make him vulnerable to the Spell Pierce he actually just wasn't vulnerable to a second ago.
Yeah, and...
He really appears to want that Omniscience, basically.
Yeah.
Is what I feel.
He's feeling like he has to get a full combo. Although, regardless of his situation, he is not in great shape. I might put the Terminus back, but that's just me.
Yeah. Sam draws his Burning Wish.
So Sam shows remarkable discipline and does not cast his show and tell. Oh, okay.
We're spell piercing the Burning Wish.
Or if Justin doesn't... Yeah, that's...
I'm pretty sure we just pay 2. Go get our show and tell. Try it next turn.
Right, that just got Justin out of... Sam out of the spell pierce.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was going to run a show and tell into spell pierce this turn.
Yeah, me too.
He really had no reason to assume his opponent would be spell piercing him.
Correct.
So...
you had a nice soul read.
The thing is, if this was our line, or if this was a line we were willing to take, I think I wouldn't have cast show until last turn anyway. I would have just kept it as a blue card for my Force of Will. Because now, like, we're on the exact same plan, right? Mm-hmm. Just next turn. So we could have just had that plan this turn.
I guess at no point,
if our hand was just show and tell, Force of Will, Emrakul, Omniscience, I think that would be the best hand we could have.
So, little bit of air for,
How many copies of Swords of Plowshares were in that hand? At least 3.
Yeah.
Maybe the full 4. I can't really tell.
We kind of blow together between Terminus and Swords.
Well, since he still has 2 in his hand, I'm going to go with 4.
Yeah.
That's my guess.
Alright, so, I believe, this is going to do it, unless some...
Well, to be fair, he can sack 6 permanents, and then untap with Jason, bounce the Emrakul.
Yeah, unfortunately for that plan,
we did put the Terminus back, right? I assume. Okay. Yep.
There's a Snapcaster
right, so
Mage as well. However, he tapped beyond the the point of Snapcaster Counterspell.
Yeah, that was an error. You never need 2 planes open.
Correct.
Ever.
One makes sense.
One makes sense. One is necessary, in fact.
Yes.
So.
Well, yeah, anything but exactly one turns out to be very bad.
Well, Omniscience enters play.
Alright, so that's game.
We're going to go for our Emrakul and try to take another turn.
Actually, put the Gristlebrand into play first.
You think?
That's just me. Yeah, that way you can draw 7.
Oh, yeah, that's very fair. Now, in response to the Gristlebrand, Justin could pop his top for Terminus now, which is exactly what you were pointing out. And
right, it's gonna have a force of will that it can. Does not need.
Just right now,
the adorable thing is Omniscience just lets him.
He let it resolve.
Yeah, it resolves. Draw 7, my friend.
I think I'm drawing 14. I'm getting swords over here.
Yeah. Draw 7, then draw 7 more. No big deal.
The downsides seem low. Sam's like, man, this seems too good to be true. I'll activate, yeah. And now he's going to pop Relic of Progenitus to remove the graveyard from the game and draw Terminus in response. He's hoping that that's going to be enough. He's hoping Sam doesn't have a counterspell as his last card in hand, but Sam does.
So that's on stack. We kind of have to pay for this miracle. Yep. Here comes our payment. Force of Will Terminus. 4 free Omniscience style.
Yeah. And Justin Paxton. All right.
Alright, so Sam takes a game 1.
That's a pretty tactical game. I think there are a few key missteps that gave each player the occasional opportunity, and then the last one that ended up mattering the most was Justin spell piercing a Burning Wish. A note to new players: do not, as a rule, do not counter spells just to make your opponent tap mana. Yeah, unless you're planning to do something that will kill them.
Yes.
On your turn. If Justin was going untap kill you, then it's a very reasonable spell pierce, just to limit your opponent's options.
I mean, as a rule, I'm it's not always correct, but I'd say the vast majority of the time, it is correct to only counter spells that will only use your dazes and spell pierces on when they will actually counter something.
Because otherwise, even when they get to the late game and you can't use them effectively, they are still force bait, as we've noted. So having a card in your hand is valuable for that. It's also valuable just with Brainstorm to have a card you can throw away and keep a different one.
Yep. It's a piece of cardboard.
Yep.
A blue piece of cardboard, even more valuable.
The presence of Brainstorm and Legacy makes cards in hand strangely more valuable than cards played at times. It's often frequently correct to hold spells that you could cast but aren't going to generate enough value because you can turn them into something else.
Yeah, especially, it's one thing if Justin has 2 spell pierces. The first one doesn't count out, the second one does. But if you're just going to make your opponent tap mana for not much reason, don't cast it. You might have an opportunity later. Okay, so we were talking last round about how my friend Andrew Schneider knows very little about the various fringe combo decks in Legacy.
Okay.
He plays Blue Red Delver, and he basically alright, what do I counter? What do I counter? What do I counter? He actually he might have to read his opponent's card if they actually go off.
I know when he was in the top 8 of Cincinnati recently, right?
Yep.
Yeah. That in that Legacy Open, he eliminated Chris Anderson, whom we saw earlier under the camera.
That was one of his things. One of the opens that he won, he defeated High Tide in the finals.
Yep.
He had no idea how to play against it going on, but he's just hey, what do I counter? Is every time he saw High Tide. So it's a mental shortcut for him.
Sure. He tries to figure out, he tries to simplify what he can do to win the match, basically.
Yes.
Amusingly, against Chris Anderson, he did not bring in his Surgical Extractions, which are one of the most powerful cards in the matchup. Because if your Cloud Fairies get Surgical Extracted, it's very difficult to win. If your Words of Wind get Surgical Extracted, it's nigh impossible.
Right.
But Lightning Bolting a Cloud Fairies and Surgical Extracting, it's a real quick route to just put your opponent way behind.
Yeah, but it was one of those
you have to know what's going on in order to be able to figure that kind of thing out. looking at deck lists, you see that your opponent's Living Wish. You're like, well, getting rid of all of his creatures is actually, not that useful because you can just Living Wish and find one.
Yeah, not anymore. You can actually only Living Wish for sideboard cards.
No, that's what I'm saying. Because he keeps the Emrakul in the sideboard.
Yes.
He doesn't think, if I kill literally all 6 creatures with power in my opponent's deck, I win the game. No, that's not how it works.
So, we're underway here. We have a Arid Mesa, Justin, and a Ponder from Sam. Maybe.
Yeah, we might be.
Ponder's on the stack. Let's just put it that way.
How do you like these aggressive spell pierces on cantrips?
I like them. I feel like Daze and Spell Pierce do not get used on Brainstorm often enough.
I agree with that.
Specifically, Spell Pierce on Brainstorms with fetches open.
Yes. Pyroblast. That's a powerful one. Powerful magic. Do you like those kind of plays more or less when your opponent has mulliganed?
More.
So do I. I think that's something...
Alright, so Justin Adam misses his second land drop.
Yeah. Justin kept a landlight hand with a lot of permission. That's probably one of the reasons he was willing to burn his cantrip so aggressively, his counter so aggressively.
Yes, he didn't have that much mana to spend.
And if he doesn't, he could very well find himself entering the cleanup step with a bunch of awesome cards in his hand, which is not where you want to be. We allow our opponent to have top after he missed his second and third land drops.
Yeah, he has a bunch of permission, but Justin's definitely going to develop very stably now.
If I'm Sam, I would have probably just forced that and red blasted every Brainstorm my opponent cast for the rest of the game. Just keep him off being able to do anything.
Yeah, looks like that's all the red blasts. All 3 of them. So Sam means it against the control decks.
Yep. He's not messing around.
His 3 red elemental blasts, another Thoughtseize to go with his 3 main deck, and 2 defense grids. He basically does not have a sideboard outside of those cards. Because he has a Burning Wish in his deck, I believe he has a Show and Tell, Petals, Grape Shot, Time of Need. So he has 5 dedicated, and he has a couple more Burning Wish targets.
I think Thoughtseize probably stays in the sideboard most of the time. Okay. I would rather have it in the sideboard than bring in the 4th one in most matchups.
Okay. Alright, so Counterbalance
I like that red blast.
What? Yeah, strange. Counterbalance is a card that, and this is something that Justin's willing to fight over, and not going to work out well for him because allowing a player to use their mana on counter spells on your turn is
it's good value in Legacy.
Yeah. Definitely a good thing for Sam because now if he draws a way to combo, he doesn't have to wait on mana to protect it because Justin decided to use his Force of Will on his own turn to protect his own spell.
Yep. Justin's probably hoping to be able to find lands and jam a Jace down next turn, but that's not going to work either. Sam still has Blast.
Yep.
Blast for days.
What he does not have is a Show and Tell or a Burning Wish to find said Show and Tell.
Yep.
So
he's gonna Brainstorm for one of those, I think.
Yeah, he's deciding which land he wants to use. So Volcanic Island casts Foil Mercadian Mass Brainstorm.
That's a big money Brainstorm. We hit a Burning Wish, a Defense Grid, and an Emrakul.
I found everything. So
put back.
No, don't put that back. Put back Emrakul.
Yeah, Emrakul's not going to work here.
Emrakul is much worse when you're just showing telling it into play in this matchup specifically. If your opponent has a Caracas, you have nothing.
Yep.
If your opponent has a Detention Sphere, you have nothing.
How many lands do we have? We have 4. So we don't want to put the Defense Grid down this turn and then go for Burning Wish next turn, because that's not going to let us kill him. So
I actually would have gotten rid of the Defense Grid.
That's what I was thinking. It looks like he put the Gristlebrand on top and is planning to not crack, I assume, because now both of his fatties are on top of the deck. The issue being that if Justin, plays Jace, he can't fetch for a Red Blast to counter, and then he can get Fate Seal, and he will lose his Gristlebrand as a result.
There's a Red Blast from Justin.
Red Blast Terminus Island.
Pretty good cards. Depends on what kind of What's it take? So
He has 2 Red Bless in his hand now, which is awkward because he only has a single source of red mana in his deck unless he brought in that mountain. Which, as we discussed before the game, he probably didn't. So that's a limiting factor on his ability to counter spells.
So I'm gonna get Sam to Castiel's Show and Tell. A Red Blessed, and a Force of Will is going to counter the Red Blast.
Yep. If necessary, we have a 3rd volcanic island that we can search up, which will enable us to Red Blast once again. But I imagine we're just going to see a real quick and easy end to this game at this point. Terminus is not the answer you want against Chris Brand.
Terminus is a fine answer against Emrakul, but
Grizzle Bizzle. Running through Justin's head is like, why is it that one?
Yeah.
Why can't it be a 15-15? Just one time.
Omniscience, but yeah.
Yeah, that would also be.
Let's draw some cards if you're Sam. I would have actually drawn 7 on my turn.
Yeah, we didn't play a land.
Yeah.
So, drawing 7's a free roll to hit a land. Oh, we are drawing 7. It looks like, or no? Oh, we're doing it in response to the Terminus. Oh, we could have hit a Wasteland. No, that's an Ancient Tomb, sorry. I misspoke. I was about to say, why is he running Wasteland? That would be crazy.
No, but yeah, that is an Ancient Tomb.
I had to double check that deck list.
I think there's another Show and Tell now, wasn't there?
Yep, I think so.
We could have cast that too. Alright, let's do it again.
Yeah, going for it again. Didn't hit a counter. Really wants a Force of Will. Or 3 Dazes.
Sure. Alright, now he has the Pedal skill in his hand.
Yep.
So, yeah, he's like, cool.
Yep,
I've got my value. Don't worry about me.
I'm doing alright. Passes the turn with 2 mana up. Huh.
Why not? I don't think it was terribly relevant.
We had everything.
Thoughts or Defense Grid, take our pick.
Ancient Tomb Defense Grid, maybe to start it off.
Yeah, sure.
Keeps his opponent from casting any spell once it's in play. And because Justin's hand is Jace, Pyroblast, Red Blast, it's going to resolve.
Yeah, good old 8th edition Defense Grid.
Since it's Divining Top. Looking for aid. Looks like land. Nothing good can come of this.
That is the only thing Justin could conceivably do would have been to Detention Sphere.
Sure.
The whatever. Alright.
That'll do it.
Comes in and here it comes. Didn't want to explain the Burning Wish combo.
Yeah, I can sympathize. Our opponent's been on 2 or 3 lands so long. No need to pedals them out.
Right. No need to just discuss how the
I could
complicated.
have done this for like 5 to 6 minutes, and then tough game for Justin.
Yeah, Sam looks very geared to beat up on the, especially post sideboard.
And those thought seizers are nice.